first round pick, Emeka Ebuka is the future of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers passing attack. And here's why.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. And guys, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our every day. As we have a fun one, guys. I'm breaking down some of the things, talk about some of these rookies from OTAs, rookie minicamp and minicamp, Emeka Ebuka's presence for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and why he will play a pivotal role in that offense this year. Ravens secret weapon Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall, should do big things for this defense. And Dante Thornton Jr., the explosive, freakish, athletic wide receiver from Tennessee with the Las Vegas Raiders, he's starting? Potentially. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. But let's start with Emeka Ebuka. He is the future of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers passing attack. Here's why, guys. Chris Godwin's coming off of a dislocated ankle, right? He's 29 years old, just turned 29 back in February. He's coming off a dislocated ankle, right? Serious lower body injury. Mike Evans will be 32 years old this year, and I believe this is the final year of his contract. So when I look at Emeka Ebuka, this is a guy that I truly believe it may not be to the level, because again, depends on how Chris Godwin or when he returns. I think he's going to have a good year. If Chris Godwin's on the PUP list to start the first 6 weeks, yeah, Emeka Ebuka is going to be highly targeted, highly favored, right? Teams are going to try to take away Mike Evans. Teams are going to try to stop the run game with Bucky Irvin in the backfield, and you got Cade Otton at tight end. We saw what happened, right? Was it year 2 for JSN? JSN, when they finally started feeding him the ball, peppering him with the targets in Seattle with the Seahawks, it made Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf expendable, because that's just how good JSN is. Well, guess what, guys? That's what Emeka Ebuka is, in my opinion, as well. He is that JSN type of receiver, that guy that can play and dominate from the slot, but absolutely can cook you from the Z spot. There's a lot of talk about Emeka Ebuka, and people believe that Emeka Ebuka is only and solely a slot. The people who are saying that, I advise you to go back to the film. He plays both outside and inside, right? And he knows how to do both well. Yes, he's really good with a two-way go, but at the same time, when you look at the splits and how offenses are using alignments, you're not getting a whole ton of just static outside the numbers to the sideline, pin the tail on the donkey outside. You're not getting those things, right? You're getting guys lined up as the outside receiver on the numbers, as the outside receiver inside the numbers, as the outside receiver, what we call a nasty or reduced split, and they're still the outside receiver, and essentially you're giving them a two-way go, because if you then measure it out and picture two more receivers in terms of a trips look over on that side, he would be in the slot or maybe at that third wide receiver spot. So he has multiple exits from the line of scrimmage. Emeka Ebuka is polished, and they talked about it so much, from camp and everything with Emeka Ebuka and what he's done. There was a quote, I believe one of the beat reporters or someone on the staff said that he is a running back with the football. Like, he's strong, he's tough, he's physical. And that's why a lot of people look at him as a power slot, because you think about what we see from Cooper Kupp, Cooper Kupp's not the power slot, but more of like what we've seen from Puka Nacua and things of that nature. Yes, he can do the same things, man. This is a tough, gritty, physical guy. You go back to some of those games this past year. It might have been, I'm trying to remember which game they played, and it was down to the wire. And I remember him having a big catch down the side, down the middle of the field, and him and Will Howard being able to connect down the field on those seam routes, things of that nature. He tracks the ball. He's not a guy that high points a lot, but he makes combat collision catches. And I appreciate that with Emeka Ebuka. Again, about to be 32 years old with Mike Evans, 29, coming off of a dislocated ankle for Chris Godwin. When you look at the youth side of things, Jalen McMillan, good receiver, had a good year last year. Probably not a guy you project to be a number one wide receiver, and that's fine. Trey Palmer, who they drafted a couple years ago, speed, right? Taz Johnson, someone they drafted this year, late in the draft, more of a gadget, more of a option route runner, more special teamer, in my opinion, punt, kick return, explosive, dynamic with the football in his hands, manufactured gadget touches, and you just want to make him a space player, right? Just a space player. You do whatever you can with him. I think he can fill a role for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, similar to what Marvin Mims fills for the Denver Broncos, if you use them correctly. I know they have a new OC that came in because they lost their back-to-back, right? You got to feel good if you're Tampa Bay Buccaneers, just the coaching staff and the ownership team. Hey, we're producing a head coach factory over here. You lose Dave Canales, put in Liam Cohen. Liam Cohen then leaves after 1 year. Now he's in Jacksonville, while Dave Canales is actually in your same division. I look at Emeka Ebuka, and I think this is a guy in routes, those 10, 12-yard dig routes, the slant routes, quick-footed. He's polished. And that was a quote that came from, I think it was Jalen McMillan, called him polished, said he's like a pro. McMillan said he's really serious about practice and already knows half the playbook. I'm really excited for his growth and his future here. And again, with Chris Godwin being out right now, still recovering from that ankle injury, right, and everything, I think this is an opportunity for him to really take hold of one of those starting wide receiver spots. And maybe, especially if you run block well, things of that nature, maybe Godwin comes back and you don't rush Godwin in. Like if Emeka Ebuka is cooking as a rookie with Mike Evans, you don't sit him just because you paid Chris Godwin. You tell Chris Godwin, get in where you fit in. We'll put you in the slot when we go trips. You go to 3 wide receiver sets, some 11 personnel, 10 personnel, whatever. When we go multiple receivers, you're in the ball game. Don't get it twisted. But we're going to ride the hot hand here. We're going to roll with the young buck, and no pun intended, right? The young buck, the young Buccaneer, and that's Emeka Ebuka, right? And they talked about, I think Todd Bowles said that, he is already catching on quickly with offensive coordinator Josh Gizzard's system. We're getting him caught up fast, right? He's an intelligent player. You know that he's going to pick up the offense, right? Coming from Ohio State, he's a high. It's one thing to have the skill set, guys, but he has a high football character. He has a high off the field character, and when those things are there in the profile, it creates a higher ceiling. Because you know what, he's going to work his butt off. He's going to work his butt off to do exactly what the team needs him to do, and he's been making plays for Baker Mayfield, who is willing to push the ball down the field. And I'm telling you now, listen to me, don't get fooled by some of the narratives pre-draft. He can get over the top of the defense. He can win vertically. He can win on some of those post routes, some of those go routes. He ended up being a polished route runner that he is, being a really good route salesman, right? Not just running the outs, the hitches, the goes, the slants. Like, he sells routes, right? There's a phrase that in coaching that's been for as long as I know. Make everything, for wide receivers and route running, make everything look like a fade until it's not. Because when you can fool a DB to think you're running a fade route, a takeoff route, a go route, a 9, whatever you want to call it, he thinks you're going to run that. That opens up the hitch. It opens up the 12-yard dig route. It opens up the comeback route. It opens up the out route. It opens up the blaze out, the speed out. It opens up the post. It opens up the post corner. It opens all those things, man. So that he's a really good route salesman. And I think that what we saw from JSN in 2024, I believe that's year 2 for him. Watching him take that step over 1,000 yards, 100+ targets. We may not see that right year 1. Because again, they re-signed Chris Godwin, right? They re-signed Chris Godwin. Great. Mike Evans, I believe he's coming up on the last year of that deal. I'm going to double check here, but I believe it's the last year of that deal. And if that is the case, okay, it was a 2-year deal? It was a 2-year deal. If this is the last year, which I believe it is, he has a void year in 2026. He's an unrestricted free agent after the season. So again, potential out after the 2025 season. Once they're done here, If you don't bring Mike Evans back, Chris Godwin, I'm gonna call him JSN. Chris Godwin and Emeka Ebuka be your 1-2 punch with Jalen McMillan in the slot. So I'm just telling you now, guys. Baker Mayfield's going to sling it. He's going to throw the ball all over the yard, even with the run game. And Emeka Ebuka is the future of their passing attack, and I can't wait to see it come full circle and watch him develop in this offense and with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But coming up next, the secret weapon for the Baltimore Ravens, edge rusher Mike Green. What has he done through camp so far? Let's talk about that coming up next. There's nothing like the NBA playoffs, the intensity, the buzzer beaters, the fans losing their ever-loving minds. It's the kind of atmosphere you must experience live. And this year's matchups are already delivering. And we're in the NBA Finals right now, guys. If you want in, Game Time makes it fast and easy to get seats, even for the biggest playoff games like the finals. Prices on the app actually drop the closer it gets to tip-off, and with killer last-minute deals, panoramic seat views, and no surprise fees, Game Time is a total game changer. Plus, with NFL returning, you'll find great seats for as low as $100 thanks to exclusive discounts. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, use the redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Mike Green, the 59th pick, the second-round pick for the Baltimore Ravens, probably the best pure pass rusher, or one of the best, one of the top two. I believe he was my top three in this class. Better than Jalen Walker, better than James Pierce Jr. and Mike Kell. Mike Green, to me, is up there with Abdul as just pure pass rush ability, and they got him in round 2 because of the off-field stuff prior to coming to Marshall and everything else. And teams took him off their board, let him fall to the second round. But he is the secret weapon for the Baltimore Ravens defense. And for me, I just look at this situation, and I'm excited for what it will look like when it pertains to him, because this is a guy that has all the first step quickness. That their pass rush coach was a guy who, pass rush coach Chuck Smith, who, if you know anything about him, guys, look into him. He's legit. He's solidified, all that. Well, one of the big things with him is that he's also helped train a lot of guys, a lot of your favorites, the Von Millers and a lot of these other guys. Believe when Von Miller hosts his pass rush summit, they call him the pass rush doctor, Dr. Chuck Smith, before he got with the Baltimore Ravens and became one of their coaches. And the first thing he said was like the first thing he noticed and first thing he saw with Mike Green was the effort. With Mike Green was the effort. And you see that on tape. As a run defender, as a pass rusher, he throws multiple moves at you. If you stall out the first move, he's coming back with a spin. And he talked about his bag. He said he has a cross chop. He can run through you. He has a spin move. He has a ghost move. He has so many moves in his bag. And it's like you see the dip and bend and the rip and moves, everything. And when you look at the Baltimore Ravens defense, for me, guys, just understand what I'm saying here. For me, you talk about sacks. The Baltimore Ravens were second in the league in sacks last year, 54 sacks last year. And that is without a guy. They caused pressure on 31.4% of their pass rush reps, right? Of their reps. They created pressure on 31.4% of those plays, right? And when you look at it, that's from NFL Pro. So if you have not checked out NFL Pro, guys, please go check it out. It's a great tool, a lot good analytics for you, in-depth stuff, advanced stuff. Love it. Shout out to Next Gen Sports. They did their big one. They did their big one with this. Okay, I love it. But nonetheless, back on topic here. When you look at Mike Green, and for me, I always say this, guys, if you're everydayer, you know this phrase that's going to come out of my mouth. If you're not an everydayer, let's start there. Number one, why? Why? Number 2, let's fix that. Subscribe. All right. Hit automatic downloads. Okay. Hit the bell notification. So you're an everydayer by default. All right. Let's fix that. But again, everydayers know I always talk about 3rd and 10. to me, when I look at how I'm building my defense, I want an edge rusher that is going to be my bucket getter. In the NBA, we got the finals going on right now, guys, right? You got Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam going up against Jalen Williams. You know what I mean? You got, SGA. You got two high caliber point guards, two elite caliber point guards going score for score, assist for assist. But what happened in game 4? Well, SGA said, I'm getting the buckets. The bucket getter. When I need a score, can I get it? Yes, I can, says SGA. And when you look at the Baltimore Ravens defense, they still have 54 sacks. They come in second in the league last year, behind the Denver Broncos, who had 63. And they have a legit pass rusher, Nick Bonito, and different guys, right? Jonathan Cooper, so forth and so on. Kyle Van Noy, Odafe Owe, guys are more power than speed, finesse, and agility. Well, Mike Green is going to bring the speed, the finesse, the agility. He's going to bring those things to the Baltimore Ravens defense. And you think about having to understand that, guys, when you draft and you have a competitive division, you draft to win your division first, right? I always go back to the fact that the New England Patriots, when they were on their run, before Josh Allen, before Tom Brady got old and everything else, who did they have in their division? Literally no one that could challenge them outside of a few Jets teams. But for the most part, Bill Belichick was drafting to defeat Peyton Manning. He wasn't drafting for Mark Sanchez. He was drafting for Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne, and Marvin Harrison Sr. and Dallas Clark and all the running backs that have come through there, and Tony Dungy. That's who they were drafting for. So the Baltimore Ravens are in a competitive division. We know the Steelers win 9 to 10 games every year. That's Mike Tomlin, baby. But when you look at it as well, okay, what else do we get? All right, we got we have the Browns, who are a good team, and if things keep going the way that they've been going through minicamp, we'll talk about Shador another time. Don't worry about it, guys. But nonetheless, Browns might be back. We'll see. But then, of course, you got Joe Shiesty, Joe Cool, Joe Burrow, and those Cincinnati Bengals and their dysfunctional team, or front office, who doesn't like to pay people outside of offensive players. You just kicked out so much money to Joe Burrow, to Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, but say, hey, our defense matters none to us. Great job, ownership. But let's continue. Yes, you got Joe Burrow, you have Jamar Chase, you have T. Higgins, you have Chase Brown. You have an offense that can put up 30-plus points a game if they so choose, and if the offensive line protects Joe Cool. You prepare and you draft to defeat him. You've been the king of the North the past couple years if you're the Baltimore Ravens, and you're trying. And not only that, you're drafting to deal with him and to solidify yourself and continue to be the kings of the North. But also, you're drafting for Josh Allen. Also, you're drafting for, and you trying to copycat league this thing, what we saw the Philadelphia Eagles do to Pat Mahomes. They dropped 7 and they rushed 4. All right. Out of their 11 guys, they only sent 4. If you send 5 or 6, he's going to light you up like it's Christmas. I'm telling you, that's what he does. But they got to him with 4. And this is a Ravens defensive line that can get to you with 4. Now that they have Mike Green, that's the role. That's the key to me and why he's their secret weapon. Postseason, I'm not even worried about him for 6-7 weeks of the year. When they get in the playoffs, albeit this team stays healthy, they get back to the postseason, 3rd and 10s against Josh Allen, you got that speed. You got the fastball. Because then for me with Odafe Owe, I have Justin Madubuike. I think the defensive coordinator or the head coach over there, they've talked about, I think, Travis Jones, the big defensive tackle from UConn, right? I saw him down in the Senior Bowl. I stood right beside him on the sideline. Let me tell you something. This man is a massive human being. He's a mountain of a man, but he's athletic and he can collapse the pocket. So you can run with a defensive tackle duo of Madubuike and Travis Jones. But if you want to take Travis Jones off the field, leave Madubuike, you can then kick Odafe Owe as a stand-up power rusher against a guard, and then you have Mike Green off the edge, and you have Kyle Van Noy off the edge, or you can flip it, let Kyle Van Noy rush from the inside, right, as ahead of the guard, have Odafe Owe power rush and collapse one side while you have Mike Green with the speed, agility, and all the counters and the pass rush moves, while he does his thing on the opposite side, being the fastball. We always talk about thunder and lightning with running backs and backfields. You need thunder and lightning with a pass rush duo. You need with a receiver duo, right? With the cornerback duo. You need that guy that's going to be the one that's the secure tackler, and then you need a guy that's got all the athleticism, can cover whoever, and everything else. It's not just selected for running backs. Mike Green is the Baltimore Ravens' secret weapon, because I believe in December and early January, hopefully for them deep into January, going into February. You know what that means. Nonetheless, in those cold months, 3rd and 10, Joe Burrow, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, look out, because Mike Green is coming and screaming off the edge, and you're going to have to deal with that. You're going to have to deal with that, and I believe he might be a DPR to start his career, because they don't need him to start. Let him come in, fresh legs, and piss off those offensive tackles, because they don't want to have to deal with that. First step quickness, elite athleticism, and bend and dip around the edge. Sign me up. But guys, coming up next, man, Dante Thornton Jr., wide receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders. Is he close to being named the starter? He should be. I'm going to tell you why coming up next. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Guys, Dante Thornton Jr., a young man out of Tennessee who also played at Oregon to start his career in college football, 6'5", 200 pounds, 4.3 flat. He's an explosive, elite athlete. And this is a list. 3 wide receivers, 6'5", and ran 4.3. Randy Moss, Hall of Famer, one of the GOATs, my GOAT. Honestly, I love Randy Moss. No disrespect, Jerry Rice, you're one of my GOATs too. I don't believe in a GOAT, greatest of all time. I just believe in GOATs, greatest of all times. You know what I mean? I have multiple. And then, so you got Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, another GOAT, and now Dante Thornton Jr. in list. The list is ended there. So he is in high caliber company. But some of the things that have been coming out about Dante Thornton Jr. is that the fact that he has been impressive and described as one of, if not the most impressive rookie for the Raiders. And this is to the point where it's been a lot of talk that, shout out to Levi Edwards, one of the Raiders. He writes for the Raiders on Raiders.com. He talked about it, and he's the one who says he's been one of the most, if not the most impressive rookie this summer so far. And he has seen a lot of reps at the outside receiver spot opposite of Trey Tucker and Jacoby Myers. Per Edwards, Thornton was a constant target for Geno Smith throughout practice, reeling in a highly contested catch in the red zone, in the end zone. Thornton, just looking at his ability, he could take the top off the defense. He's explosive, he's dynamic, and he's strong. And then also, with them drafting Ashton Jeanty, for those who don't know, this dude is a dog as a run blocker. He will hunt out defensive backs with the quickness. He does not mind it whatsoever. And there's been rumblings. I've seen things on social media stating that he might be prepared or get ready for, like, he may be getting prepped to be a starter, right? And you think about just the fact of what does that mean when you think about adding Geno Smith to this offense? Well, Geno Smith, I wrote about this over at Bleacher Report in 5 underrated rookies who can make a big impact in 2025. And the one thing about it, Geno Smith, I put this in this little note in there. Geno Smith is an accurate deep ball passer. 20 plus air yards, 20 plus yards in the air, or 20 plus air yards per NFL Pro. He completed 41% of his passes. That's 7th highest in the league in 2024. And the thing about it was he was also pressured a lot. So being behind maybe a better offensive line, really good run game, having a guy like that. Remember the last big 6'4", now granted body type's a little different, but 6'4" guy that ran 4.3, DK Metcalf, 6'3", 6'4", 230, 4.33. And what happened? Right? They took the top off the defense, man. And Dante Thornton Jr., I think I came on here and said it, and I've been 10 toes down on it. He was the best developmental wide receiver in the 2025 NFL draft, coming off the 2024 college football season. When you're 6'5", 200 pounds, run a 4.3 flat, can jump out the gym, also as an outstanding run blocker, great with the ball in the air and being the high point and flash late hands and be physical and make those strong contested catches. It's stuff like that. God honest, it's stuff like that that you just say to yourself, man, I need this guy on my team, right? So, yes, for me, when I look at him, I think he should be everything has to translate over, right? The first couple phases of this offseason period and prep for the regular season of 2025, those are done. Rookie minicamp, OTAs, and minicamp, mandatory minicamp. Those things are done now. They ended last week. They're finished. Finito, patootie, they're done. So what does that mean? We have a month, 3 weeks or so, 3.5 weeks, whatever, until training camp. And when the pads come on and the pads start popping, I put this in the article I just wrote, you know what I mean, about just rookies, ranking rookies that are under the most pressure heading into training camp. And one of the part of my blurb to start that article, training camp is not for the weak. It's where we separate the men from the boys. And when the pads come on, Dante Thornton Jr. continues to cook, continues to beat the defensive backs, continues to win the vertical plane, continues to be a physical contested catch receiver, especially in the red zone. I'm telling you now, it's going to be very difficult for Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly to say, why are we not starting him? I love Jack Bech. He was drafted ahead of Dante Thornton Jr. And Jack Bech will have his time and have his moments. But truthfully, I think when they go 11 personnel, it's probably best to go Brock Bowers at tight end, Dante Thornton at the X, Jacoby Myers at the Z, or Jacoby Myers and Jack Bech at the Z in the slot. And you can flip those guys around. And of course, Jacoby Myers, I believe, is in the last year of his deal. So what does that mean? That means that next year it could be Trey Tucker, Brock Bowers at tight end, Dante Thornton Jr. at the X, and Jack Bech, man, in the slot. And hey, listen, Trey Tucker can give you a little bit of Brandon Cooks as that undersized outside receiver with deep speed and playmaking ability. That's a home run, you know. So I think Geno Smith, we're going to see it, man. The clips when training camp hits and it's not closed practices and it's open to the fans and everybody else, you're going to start seeing those slow-mo reels, deep ball, 40, 50 yards down the field. Who's on the other end of it? You're waiting for the ball to drop on the video and you see Dante Thornton Jr. You see number 10, right? And I think for me, I think he's a better route runner. You know, I've watched some of the practice clips of him sinking, driving out at the break point on comebacks and curl routes, and he can sink his hips very well. This is an athletic mover, guys. Okay, he is not just a go route guy, not just an explosive guy. There's route running upside. Josh Heupel's Mickey Mouse offense at Tennessee didn't allow him to run routes. I believe this young man his potential is so untapped. I'm telling you now, we will blink, fast forward 2 years and be like, how in the world did they get him in round 4? That's what we're going to be asking ourselves. Well, you won't be asking me. You won't be asking me because DP's been here the entire time. Shout out to Dante Thornton Jr., or one of my favorite receivers. And you know what he is, guys. For all my everydayers, and again, if you're not an everydayer, fix that. But for all my everydayers, you know what time it is, man. He's a Dame's dude through and through. One of my favorite receivers from this past draft class. But guys, that is the show. Emeka Ebuka's presence, right, in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense and why he is the future of their passing attack. The Baltimore Ravens, perennial playoff team, AFC championship, contender. Their secret weapon, Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall, and Dante Thornton Jr. starting. Maybe not yet, but he definitely should be when we get to week 1 if he continues to play and ball out once we get to training camp for the Las Vegas Raiders. But guys, as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shot for being our everydayers. Go subscribe and follow for free wherever you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. On the next episode of Locked On NFL Draft, we will be talking about some wide receivers, right? Malachi Fields, 6'4", 220 wide receiver out of Virginia, who's now going to Notre Dame. I think he's going to open up the Scotty notebook and tell you what he does and how he can help Notre Dame and why he might be a first-round pick. We'll see. We'll talk about that on the next episode of Locked On NFL Draft. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.